About a year and a half ago, I took a course at St. Joseph Seminary on the life and writings of St. John Henry Cardinal Newman. It was then that I became acquainted with this book, The Tears of Christ. I've chosen to share with you his reflections on the Passion of Christ as we live this Holy Week. But first, just a little background on Newman. John Henry was born into a comfortable Anglican family on February 21st, 1801. His search for religious truth took him through a period as an evangelical Protestant and then as an Anglican clergyman until the year 1841, when after much prayer, controversy, and research, he became convinced he was in the wrong church. He was received into the Catholic Church on October 9, 1845, and ordained to the priesthood about 2 years later. Pope Leo XIII, in 1879, created him cardinal. On November 1st, 2025, Pope Leo XIV proclaimed him a doctor of the Church and co-patron of Catholic education alongside St. Thomas Aquinas, making him one of only 38 saints given this distinction for their scholarship and their writings. You know, to all of this pomp and circumstance, I could imagine Newman's shyly saying, "Oh my." So now let's begin with his reflection. Newman does not focus on the glory of Palm Sunday, and this reflection is going to be on Palm Sunday. Rather, he prepares us to enter fully into the sacrificial death of the Son of God made man. So this first reflection for Palm Sunday is called The Incarnate Son, a Sufferer and Sacrifice. Part 1. I will be reading John Henry's exact words. He who humbled himself, being first made man, then dying, and that upon a shameful and agonizing cross, was the same who from eternity had been, as St. Paul writes, in the form of God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, speaks St. John. And the Word became flesh. We are now approaching that most sacred day when we commemorate Christ's passion and death. Let us try to fix our minds upon this great thought, to put off other thoughts, to clear our mind of things transitory, temporal, and earthly, and to occupy them with the contemplation of the eternal Word and His one ever-enduring sacrifice. That sacrifice which completed once for all on Calvary, yet ever abides, and in its power and grace is ever present among us and is at all times to be commemorated gratefully and awfully, but especially now. John Henry is here referring to the sacrifice of the Mass. Christ's death was not a mere martyrdom. Man dies as a martyr, but the Son of God dies as an atoning sacrifice. He was God from God, as the Creed says, but he became truly man. He added a new nature to himself. The eternal Word of God acted through the manhood which he had taken. When he spoke, it was literally God speaking. When he suffered, it was God suffering. The Son of God suffered in that human nature which he had taken to himself and made his own. Think of this and consider whether this thought you can read the last chapters of the 4 Gospels without fear and trembling. For instance, one of Caiaphas's officers standing by struck Jesus with his hand. The words must be said. That officer lifted up his hand against God the Son. Again, they spat in his face and struck him, and some slapped him. Men mocked him and beat him. They also blindfolded him and asked him, "Prophesy, who was that struck you?" Then Pilate took Jesus and scourged him. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and put it on his head and struck him with their hands. Lastly, when they came to the place which is called the Skull, there they crucified him. And even there, they did not cease insulting and mocking him. Consider that face. So ruthlessly smitten was the face of God himself. The brows bloody, the sacred body exposed and lacerated, the hands nailed, the side pierced. It was the blood, the temples and the side, and the feet of God himself. This is so fearful a thought that while we think of it, we must pray God to temper it to us and to give us strength to think of it rightly, lest it be too much for us.
Hemos comenzado la Semana Mayor. Hemos comenzado con este día, la Semana Santa. Hoy el Señor entra triunfante en la eterna ciudad de Jerusalén. Como para cumplir la profecía, entra montando en un burrito. Y todo el mundo le proclama: Hosana, Hosana al Hijo de David. Bendito el que viene en el nombre del Señor. En este día el Señor también quiere entrar triunfante en nuestras almas. Y nosotros tenemos que responderle. El Señor viene para morir por nosotros. Esta semana es una semana especial. Es una semana rica en signos, rica en misericordia, rica en amor. Yo le invito a usted en este domingo de Ramos, en que asista a su parroquia. Vaya y cumpla lo que nos pide el Señor. Que le llamemos, que le aclamemos, que le cantemos: bendito el que viene en el nombre del Señor. Preparemos el corazón para estos días de grandeza. Preparemos nuestras almas para estos días de misericordia. Mañana lunes tenemos las confesiones de 9 a 12 y de 4 a 9 de la noche, aquí en nuestra parroquia de la Asunción, en Peekskill. Prepara el corazón para el Señor. Que esta semana, yo creo que ya no quiere decir ni mucho. Usted ya sabe lo que Dios nos pide. Unámonos al Señor. Seamos siempre de Él. Y aclamemos a aquel que nos da la vida eterna. Aquel que nos ama tanto, que no dude en ningún momento de subir a la cruz por nuestra salvación. Mis hermanos, nos vemos en misa, 8 de la mañana, 10 de la mañana, 12 del mediodía, 2:30 de la tarde, 7 de la noche. 5 misas en español. 8 de la mañana, 10 de la mañana, 12 del mediodía, 3 misas en inglés. En total, 8 misas. Después no me venga a decir: Padre, no supe, Padre, no tuve tiempo. Oiga, 8 misas para cantar al Señor, que es bendito, porque Él viene en nombre del Padre Eterno. Feliz Semana Santa para todos. Chao.